So if you've been following the news like I have on Halo Infinite, which I said was my quote-unquote forever shooter, things aren't looking very good right now, unfortunately. And there have been a litany of problems that have been kind of plaguing this game since launch. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like things are getting a whole lot better. Thankfully, we have some silver lining. The Big Team Battle patch does seem to be working and is effective. So thankfully now, we can play Big Team Battle in a fun way. Actually, anyway, because it works again. And it seems like, according to some of the links, some of the leaks that have been kind of cultivating, we should be getting potentially the classic shotgun again soon. And we should be getting King of the Hill soon. And some other fun gameplay modes that I think are starting to potentially turn the tides of what's been going on. This all came out because of the news. I've just been kind of just keeping cognizantly aware of some of the Halo news. And I'm seeing a lot of trends. People saying Halo is struggling to retain players. It's not quite good enough. There's, some leaks and stuff. Halo Infinite has fallen outside of the Xbox top 5. This is really a tale of two things going on, okay? On the one hand, you have Microsoft hyping up Game Pass, and by default, Microsoft will say any Game Pass subscriber is instantly kind of included in that player base. So you will see a lot of claims saying, well, there's 20 million people who have played Sea of Thieves, or Halo has 18 million accounts, or whatever the new Game Pass numbers are. And the reality is, not everybody is playing every game on Game Pass. A lot of my friends played Halo Infinite exactly one time, and they're not big first-person shooter fans, and they've moved on. But Halo Infinite will still count, Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox launcher will still count that as a active player. Steam charts tell a slightly different story. The nice thing about Steam charts is it's really unbiased, because what you're getting is the raw data of who is opening the executables and who is pinging the Steam server. So when Halo Infinite went free to play and came over to Steam, I think that was a phenomenal move for us as fans to see how the game is trending. And it's not good. As expected, the hype for the game around the launch was through the roof, meteoric. Obviously, a lot of people are checking it out. Very high all-time peaks of concurrent game players. And these are the numbers that they like to broadcast. So when you look up Halo Infinite news, they'll say, we had 250,000 concurrent players. It's like, wow, okay, that's some pretty good numbers, considering Halo 5 was not released on PC, considering that Halo Master Chief Collection has gone through the trials and tribulations. So you see that number and you're like, whoa, this is phenomenal news. But look at the trend here, everyone. Look at what we are now at. The last 24 hours, the peak has been 28,000 players. That is a magnitude less than the 256,000 players we saw before. By comparison, I just pulled up a couple other popular shooters that I know people are talking about. Apex Legends started off. Keep in mind, Apex Legends was not originally on Steam. It was originally something on the Epic Game Store and slowly worked its way over to Steam. So obviously it doesn't go back to the beginning of time, but you can see the numbers not only have gone really trending up, they remain very, very high. This is good. This is a major amount of people logging in daily to compete, to check out the challenges, the missions, etc. And just to show kind of the Mac Daddy of them all, the old tried and true Counter-Strike, which has been around since the beginning of time, with a mere 52,000 players at launch, and has grown quite steadily to almost 1 million players playing on pretty much any given day, which as a peak is insane. Okay. The key here, though, with both Counter-Strike and Apex, they're trending up. They're trending up. When you have a game as a service, which is what Halo Infinite has been touting that they want to be, a game as a service should be pulling people in. New events, new characters, getting your friends involved, and they stay involved. What you're seeing on Halo Infinite is exactly 180 degrees. I don't care that the fact that the number is lower, and I'm a Halo guy here, so I'm a little bit taking this more personally probably than I should, but what I'm saying is that I don't care that the numbers are higher on Apex or on Counter-Strike. I'm sure there are other first-person shooters or games I could play or pull up to show this. I'm looking at the trending of the data. The fact that the data is trending down is worrisome. That means that the things that Halo has promised are falling on deaf ears. That means people are not engaged like they were. This means that people are not tuning into the live streams to get ramped up when Halo releases the Cyber Showdown event, or when Halo releases the new, well, I guess it was part of attrition, but when they're doing something new and exciting, you're not seeing a major flare up for people logging in. Here, it's pretty clear you can tell when Apex drops something, a new game, a new mode, a new character, a new map, something. You can see distinct peaks. Same with Counter-Strike. You can see where something significant happened, a major event, a new season, a gun, whatever it happened to be. Everybody checks it out. Yes, you do have an overall fall off. That is expected. But ultimately, you're not seeing that kind of data over here. What you're seeing is basically a flat line. And that's very worrisome as a guy who wants Halo to be his forever game and hopes that Halo does have this true 10-year plan and hopes that everything will work itself out. But you have to look at this data, and whether you are a fan of what Halo is doing or whether you are not, you have to look at this data objectively and say, this isn't sugarcoated. This is what Steam is basically telling us is happening, and it's not good. Now, that doesn't mean that Halo is a dead game. That doesn't mean that you don't have people on the console side that are playing, and maybe it's favored more towards the console than towards the computer. This is all I have to go on since Microsoft doesn't reveal numbers. Microsoft doesn't reveal player counts or server loads or anything. All I can go on is this data, which is kind of readily available for everyone to look at. But you know, you only need, I always said when I played Halo, and I still played Halo Master Chief Collection even when it wasn't fun, you only need 8 people online. As long as you're one of the 8, you got a match, right? It's 4v4, you could get a match. Might not be a high quality match, you might wait a long time for it, but you're going to at least get to play. And, you know, 30,000 is a healthy community. That's great. There's still a lot of players. I very rarely wait for a quick play match, but in terms of competitive, in terms of arenas and ladder boards and trying to really find a true MMR, your match make rating, and getting put in quality matches against people of your skill. Well, the less players that are around, the more that divide really starts to fold. And ultimately, you're left with either blowouts or you're left with just insane victories, depending on what end of the spectrum you're on. But if I was Microsoft looking at this data and just looking through some of these news articles and just kind of seeing what's going on, I would be concerned. And I honestly have said on this channel numerous times before, because I have a whole playlist dedicated to Halo stuff, I would be concerned just to begin with what Halo is offering. This has to be the most, honest data you can have. You're now looking at months of data. It's not going in the right direction. So the change they made to the store, the drip feed of content, the kind of weird storyline, all these things are starting to feed in together. And I think this has got to be a reality check for these guys and say, you know what? What you're doing isn't really working. It's not retaining players. You're not getting hype. You're not even maintaining the player base you have. If there was only 1,000 people and it was always 1,000 people, just the diehards, the guys that are on every single day, that would be a different story. You obviously want to see growth when possible. Always, always, always see growth. That's more money coming in. That's more ideas. That's more people streaming. That's more sponsorships. That's more home grass type of tournaments, major tournaments, whatever. When you see this, you're hemorrhaging players at a rapid rate. And maybe you could say, oh, well, Halo really is a 20,000 player game. That's where it should be. Okay, well, if that was true, then why was it, just a month ago, 50,000? And why 2 months ago was it 100,000? So we haven't leveled out quite yet on the Halo side of things. It's not good, and it's nerve-wracking as a super fan to see a game so young in its infancy that has continued to struggle with things again and again and again. I'll take this as an opportunity just to say, I kind of told you so. Not that I want to be right about this, but it was very clear to me that 343 struggled with the development of this game. 343 has continued to struggle with the development of this game. And I think the whole Microsoft strategy of buying these companies and trying to help them or turn them around may be a little disconcerting, because this is supposed to be a cash cow, and right now, it's not. It's just not. That's the worrisome thing. So we'll see where the numbers go. We'll see as cooperative play and forge mode and some of the other kind of tried and true modes are worked out. Some of the server connection issues are maybe resolved. Maybe you start to see something turn around and people go, wow, this is great. But as it stands right now, this game is in a downward spiral, and that is not where we want to be. Hope you guys found this video informative and probably a little discerning, and I understand, But you got to take care of yourself, because that's the important thing. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.